If Niccolo Machiavelli were alive in the 21st century, you wouldn't see his face on a live stream. You wouldn't read his posts in your feed, and you certainly wouldn't catch him chasing likes or followers. He wouldn't be selling courses, writing motivational quotes, or taking victory selfies. You'd never even hear his name spoken in public unless it was whispered, and even then, only by people who knew the weight it carried. Machiavelli would be running empires you didn't know existed. He would be the unseen architect of decisions that ripple through markets, politics, and culture, steering outcomes without ever taking the credit or the blame. In a world addicted to visibility, he would dominate through invisibility. In a society where everyone is shouting for attention, he would be the one controlling the silence. And in a time when every move is documented, time-stamped, and archived forever, he would be moving without a trace, leaving no pattern to follow, no trail to predict. This is the paradox he would exploit. Today's hunger for recognition is the perfect camouflage for those who seek real power. While the world is obsessed with broadcasting its every thought and move, the quiet player rewrites the rules. Machiavelli wouldn't compete for attention. He'd control those who do. He wouldn't rush to prove himself. He'd let others overexpose themselves until their weaknesses gleamed in the light they craved so badly. And make no mistake, he would understand this world better than we do. Because while technology has changed, human nature hasn't. The impulses that drove people in Renaissance courts are the same ones that drive boardrooms, social media mobs, political campaigns, and private conversations today. Ego still blinds, fear still governs, and perception still outweighs truth. Machiavelli's genius was never about the century he lived in. It was about understanding the unchanging mechanics of influence. That's what this doctrine is. 21 psychological rules sharpened for the modern age, designed to give you total control over how power moves around you. This is not theory. This is not academic. This is the playbook for moving unseen, for bending perception, for building influence so deeply rooted that removing you would mean tearing down the structure itself. You're about to see the world through his eyes, not the idealist's lens, not the moralist's sermon, but the strategist's sightline. These are not rules for being liked. They are not rules for being fair. They are rules for winning, quietly, decisively, and permanently. And if you apply them correctly, no one will ever see you coming. Machiavelli understood that the first battlefield is never the boardroom, the war room, or the street. It is the mind of the people watching. Control what they perceive and you control the way they respond. In an age where perception is currency, mastering it isn't optional. It is the foundation of every strategic move you make. Rule 1. Always let them underestimate you. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one holding the strings. Today, people race to prove themselves, flashing titles, flaunting accomplishments, speaking in ways meant to assert dominance. Machiavelli would do the opposite. He would walk in last, speak least, and listen most. His silence wouldn't be passivity, it would be reconnaissance. Every glance, every word, every hesitation from others would be recorded and filed away before he made his first move. Let them think you're harmless. Let them believe you're slow, naive, or irrelevant. Underestimation is the most comfortable bed for arrogance, and arrogance blinds people to danger. When they feel safe from you, they expose themselves, sharing more than they should, dropping their guard, revealing where to strike. You don't need to fight for a position when you can take it from someone who never saw you as a threat until it was too late. Rule 2. Charm is more dangerous than truth. In a hyper-connected, image-obsessed society, truth moves slower than perception. What people believe about you will always outpace what is real. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few ever experience what you truly are. So why waste energy proving your integrity when you can design your illusion? A warm smile in a boardroom while quietly redirecting the conversation. a reassuring nod to a rival whose confidence you're about to dismantle. Small, deliberate acts that make people trust you without reason. The goal isn't to be honest, the goal is to be believed as honest, and once you are believed, they stop questioning. You don't correct their perception, you exploit it. Let them write your story as the hero while you quietly rewrite the ending. Rule 3. Create ambiguity on purpose. Most people fight to be understood. They explain, they clarify, they over-communicate until every corner of their identity is lit up for public inspection. Machiavelli would do the opposite. He would be unpredictable by design, warm one day, distant the next. Generous in one moment, silent in the next. Not because he lacked direction, but because his audience did. Confusion breeds obsession. Obsession breeds focus, and focus breeds influence. When people can't define you, they study you. They analyze your pauses, your expressions, your choices. They overinterpret your silence and misread your words, pulling themselves deeper into your orbit without you ever pulling on the rope. That is the gravitational pull of a puzzle, and puzzles are not solved overnight. The people you control most are the ones who think about you the most. So stop explaining, stop clarifying, speak in half answers, smile at questions you'll never answer. The more they wonder, the more they circle you, and the more control you gain without lifting a hand. Rule 4. Control what they see, hide what you do. In today's culture of oversharing, most people treat transparency as virtue. Machiavelli would treat it as a liability. The more people know of your methods, the easier it is for them to counter you. The modern world rewards those who display results, not those who reveal the process. So Machiavelli's moves would be selective, his output public, his input private. Let the world see the polished outcome, but never the machinery that produced it. Appear noble, move ruthlessly. Display patience while acting decisively in the shadows. If you are building, no one should know until it is built. If you are advancing, no one should see the steps until you have already arrived. A prepared opponent is harder to defeat, so never give them time to prepare. Rule 5. Build a mask, then let it fracture. Perfection is forgettable. Flaws, especially those revealed at the right moment, are addictive. Machiavelli would craft an image of calm control, intellect, and confidence. But just once, he would let the mask crack. Maybe it's a sharp, unexpected comment. Maybe it's a glimpse of vulnerability. Something small enough to seem accidental, but deliberate enough to lodge in their minds. Now they see there's more beneath the surface, something deeper, maybe darker. And curiosity becomes an open wound they keep touching. You don't need them to love the mask. You need them to remember the moment it slipped. Because people chase what they almost understand far longer than what they fully grasp. Rule 6. Say less than necessary. The one who fills silence with words reveals more than they realize. Insecurity, need for validation, fear of being misunderstood. Machiavelli would never explain himself to satisfy curiosity. He would speak to create distance. Every sentence would be a blade, sharpened to cut cleanly, then withdrawn. In a negotiation, a dispute, or a tense conversation, he might speak one sentence, two at most, then stop. The silence after would do more damage than 100 justifications. Why? Because people project their fears into silence. They wonder what you know, why you're not reacting, what you might be planning. They fill the gap with their own anxieties, and in doing so, hand you the upper hand. In power, words should never satisfy. They should unsettle. Speak only enough to control the rhythm of thought, then step back. Let them lean forward, let them guess, let them sweat. Power is not just taken, it is engineered. Machiavelli understood that the surest way to hold influence over someone is not to fight them, not to intimidate them, but to quietly build a web they don't realize they're trapped in until it's too late. In modern terms, this is not about aggression, it's about architecture. You design the structure of their perception, their trust, their dependence, and then you own the ground they walk on. Rule 7. Blur the line between threat and ally. People feel safest when they believe they've categorized you. Are you on their side or against them? Are you safe or dangerous? Machiavelli would never let them answer that question with certainty. He would compliment his rivals in public. He would sit with his critics and nod at their points. He might even defend someone he was planning to remove. Why? Because an obvious enemy invites defenses. A neutral presence puts people to sleep. And the best time to strike is when they've stopped looking over their shoulder. The lion cannot avoid traps, and the fox cannot scare off wolves. To survive, you must be both. Sometimes the fox smiles, sometimes the lion shows teeth, but never on command. Let them misjudge you until their guard is so low you can step over it without them noticing. Rule 8. Make them feel safe before you take power. The easiest way to take from someone is to make them believe you have no intention of taking. Machiavelli would study their habits, mirror their language, and agree with their ideas just enough to disarm them. He would never make them feel they were losing ground, only that they were leading. Then, at the moment of maximum trust, he would move. Not loudly, not with a fight, just decisively enough that by the time they realize what happened, he's already sitting in their seat. Men obey immediate needs more than they fear distant consequences. So he would give them what they want today, while quietly setting up tomorrow for himself. Rule 9. Make people dependent, then remove yourself. Threats inspire rebellion. Dependence inspires surrender. If Machiavelli wanted lasting control, he wouldn't frighten you, he'd help you. He'd solve the problem no one else could, teach you something no one else would, provide stability you hadn't earned. Over time, you wouldn't even notice how much you relied on him, until he was gone. And when he withdrew, not in anger, but in quiet absence, the void would gnaw at you. Nothing destroys stability faster than losing the thing you believed you could always count on. You wouldn't hate him for leaving. You'd hate yourself for needing him. And that is a wound you'll try to heal by bringing him back into your life, even if it means bending to his terms. Rule 10. Weaponize the favor. Most people give help to be liked. Machiavelli would give help to own a piece of you. If he gave you something, an introduction, a solution, an advantage, he wouldn't call in the debt immediately. He would let it sit, let you feel the imbalance. That discomfort would grow until you start paying it back in ways you don't even realize. Loyalty, information, small concessions, silence when it benefits him. And if you forget, he wouldn't shout. He'd remind you softly with a single, "Remember when I..." That single memory would bring the imbalance rushing back. Over time, favors become invisible chains, and the longer they're left unacknowledged, the heavier they get. Rule 11. Manufacture loyalty through complicity. Loyalty isn't born from kindness, it's born from shared transgression. Machiavelli wouldn't demand you betray someone for him. He'd simply leave the door open. You might share a piece of information you shouldn't. You might bend a rule in his favor. You might speak ill of someone to win his approval. None of it is forced, and that's the point. It feels like your choice. Now you're bound to him by complicity. People protect the alliances they've dirtied their own hands to create. The more you've compromised for him, the more invested you are in keeping him close, because losing him means facing what you've done without him there to protect you. Rule 12. Break alliances from the inside. Machiavelli didn't just remove individuals, he dismantled entire networks. But he didn't do it by attacking. He did it by eroding trust from within. He would find the strongest bond in a group and plant small, poisonous seeds. "I heard he said something about you. Funny how she never really defends you." No accusations, no commands. Just enough to make you look twice at someone you once trusted completely. Distrust is a slow burning fire. It doesn't need fuel every day. Just enough to keep the embers alive until the group fractures on its own. And when it does, no one can trace it back to him. Rule 13. Reflect their insecurities back at them. The most dangerous influence isn't built on fear. It's built on recognition. If you can make someone feel deeply understood, they will trust you. But Machiavelli would take it one step further. He'd make you feel understood in ways that align with your own self-doubt. You're really brave, especially for someone who doesn't like the spotlight. You always manage to pull through even when people underestimate you. These comments are wrapped in praise but anchored in insecurity. They make you agree, they make you feel seen, but they also subtly reinforce the doubt. And once he is the only person who gets you in that specific way, you lean into him without realizing you've surrendered influence over your own self-image. To Machiavelli, true power was never about being the loudest voice in the room or the most feared presence in the moment. It was about shaping events without leaving fingerprints. The master strategist doesn't just win. He wins without anyone being able to prove he moved a single piece. In the modern world, this is the art of silent orchestration, pulling strings from the shadows while letting others believe they are acting on their own. Rule 14, never be the one holding the knife. Every removal, every betrayal, every decisive cut in the game of power leaves behind a stain. If you are the one holding the knife, the stain is yours to carry. Machiavelli understood the danger of this better than anyone. He would set the stage for someone else to take the action he wanted taken. A rival's downfall would look self-inflicted. A dangerous ally's exit would seem like their own decision. When chaos was needed, he would feed both sides just enough information to spark the fire, then walk away before the smoke rose. If you are seen as the executioner, you create enemies. But if you are seen as the inevitable alternative after someone else fails, you inherit loyalty. This is the Machiavellian masterpiece. Clean hands, full control. Rule 15, say nothing and let them reveal everything. In the age of podcasts, rants, and endless digital chatter, silence is rebellion and a weapon. Machiavelli would master it. When insulted, he would say nothing. When asked for his opinion, he would smile and wait. When provoked, he would blink, unbothered. The lack of reaction forces the other person to fill the void, speaking more than they should, revealing intentions, weaknesses, and doubts. You don't have to interrogate someone who is desperate to explain themselves into your silence. Never try to win by force what you can win by patience. Silence is the most elegant form of deception. It lets them think they're in control while they give you the map to destroy them. Rule 16. Be unpredictable when it matters. Predictability is a blueprint for manipulation. If they always know how you'll react, they can set traps you'll walk into willingly. Machiavelli would not be erratic. He would be selectively unpredictable. Sometimes he would forgive. Sometimes he would vanish. Sometimes he would engage directly. Sometimes he would watch them burn without lifting a finger. The uncertainty would force everyone to prepare for every possibility, exhausting their resources before they could make a move. Men are driven by love or fear, but fear is born of uncertainty. The one they can't predict is the one they can't prepare for. Rule 17. Make your presence felt in absence. You don't need to be in the room to control it. You just need to leave a mark deep enough that your presence lingers when you're gone. Machiavelli would imprint himself into the decision-making of others so thoroughly that even in his absence they would ask, what would he do? Before acting. When he corrected you once, you'd carry that correction into every future choice. When he outmaneuvered you, you'd replay the move in your head for years. This is psychological branding, not based on content, but on energy. Even without direct orders, people would still move according to his invisible rules. And in that way, he would never need to fire someone. They would enforce his legacy for him. Rule 18. Never threaten, let fear do the work. A threat creates resistance. Fear of the unknown creates obedience. Machiavelli wouldn't tell you he could destroy you, he would simply make you wonder if he could. When you lied, he wouldn't call you out. He'd pause just long enough to make you squirm. When you crossed him, he wouldn't announce retaliation. He'd disappear from your world, letting you panic over what he might be planning. Fear based on imagination is more dangerous than fear based on fact, because the mind will always imagine worse than reality. When people fear what you might do, they will work for your approval just to avoid finding out. Rule 19. Delay your revenge until it becomes devastating. Quick retaliation satisfies the ego but forfeits control. Machiavelli understood the discipline of patience. When wronged, he would not react. He would study the offender, let them relax, even let them believe they had won. And then, days, months, or even years later, he would strike at the moment when the damage would be irreversible. Revenge is not about punishing someone. It's about making an example that shapes behavior for everyone else watching. Injuries, he believed, should be delivered all at once so the target cannot recover. The waiting is what rots their confidence, makes them lose sleep, and turns their victories hollow. By the time you move, the fear has already done most of the work. The final evolution of power is not dominance in the present. It is permanence beyond your presence. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous player is not the one who wins today, but the one whose influence continues even when he is gone. This is not about followers, fame, or visibility. This is about embedding yourself so deeply into the structure of things that removing you would collapse the entire system. Rule 20. Become a system, not a man. A man can be replaced. A system cannot. Machiavelli would never make himself the sole point of power. He would make himself the architecture that power moves through. This means training others to think like you, making yourself the standard by which all decisions are measured, and designing processes only you fully understand. He would plant his methods into every corner of the structure, subtle habits, hidden efficiencies, unspoken rules, so that even if someone wanted to remove him, they couldn't operate without him. This is how legacies are built, not through titles but through integration. You're no longer a person they can push aside. You're the framework holding everything together. Rule 21. Make them afraid to speak your name. The final form of power is not being celebrated. It's being invoked with caution. Machiavelli would reach a point where people avoid saying his name directly, referring instead with phrases like, "You know who I mean," or, "We don't want to end up like him." You become less of a person and more of a presence, a shadow in every conversation, a silent check on every decision. You don't trend. You don't need to argue. You change the atmosphere simply by existing in memory. When people measure their moves against what you might think, even when you're not there, you have reached the highest level of control. It's not about being remembered fondly. It's about being remembered in a way that shapes behavior. That is the point where you no longer need to play the game, because you have become the board. Machiavelli thrived in a world of whispers, where messages moved through private letters and influence spread face to face. Today, the whispers are louder, faster, and permanent, stored in servers, copied in screenshots, and amplified by millions of strangers. The playing field has expanded, but the psychology remains unchanged. What's different is the terrain. Visibility has become a trap, attention has become a weapon, and silence has become more strategic than ever. If he were alive now, Machiavelli would not reject the tools of the modern world. He would weaponize them. But he would do it with the same principle that defined his life. Remain untouchable. He would adapt the doctrine to survive and dominate in the digital coliseum without ever stepping into the pit. Rule 22. Control the narrative through other voices. In the Renaissance, Machiavelli understood that the most persuasive messages often come from someone else's mouth. In the modern world, this truth is magnified. Every word you speak publicly is archived, analyzed, and held against you. Every statement is a potential vulnerability, so you don't say it yourself, you plant it in someone else. Machiavelli would build a network of messengers, people with different loyalties, styles, and audiences, each carrying pieces of his narrative without knowing they're part of the same design. An ally repeats your idea in a meeting. A rival unknowingly defends your position because it benefits them in the short term. An influential voice online echoes your framing without ever realizing it originated with you. When the message spreads through multiple seemingly unconnected sources, it doesn't feel like propaganda. It feels like reality. And if anyone tries to trace it back to you, they'll find nothing. You don't own the narrative owns them. Rule 23. Weaponize uncertainty in the information age. Today, everyone demands clarity. They want your position, your opinion, your confirmation. Machiavelli would understand that the moment you give them certainty, you give them control. Certainty lets people plan. Uncertainty forces them to prepare for everything, and that exhausts them. In the digital age, this means never fully confirming, never fully denying. When accused, you neither refute nor admit, you redirect. When praised, you neither accept nor reject. You leave the compliment unanswered. Every unanswered question is an open loop in their mind. They'll replay your silence until it becomes louder than words. Too much information has made people lazy with thought. They scroll for answers, skim headlines, and latch onto easy narratives. By refusing to give them that simplicity, you force them into a constant state of speculation. And the more they speculate, the more they talk. The more they talk, the more you control the terms without saying a single word. Rule 24. Erase the battlefield before the fight begins. In Machiavelli's time, a well-prepared enemy was dangerous. Today, a well-prepared enemy is nearly impossible to beat because they have access to real-time data, instant communications, and public alliances. So the best move is not to fight harder. It's to erase the battlefield before the fight starts. This means dismantling their platform without them realizing it. Undermine their alliances quietly. Redirect their attention towards smaller, meaningless battles so their resources drain away. Disrupt the flow of information they rely on so they never see the full picture. By the time they realize where the real fight was, it's already over. Machiavelli would thrive here. He'd control the invisible layers of modern infrastructure, the flow of information, the gatekeepers of access, the timing of key moves, so that when the moment to strike arrived, there was nothing left for his opponent to defend. You don't win by overpowering them in open conflict. You win by making sure the conflict never happens on terms they can survive. Closing to part 5, these modern refinements are not separate from the original doctrine. They are extensions of it, sharpened for a world where attention spans are shorter but consequences are permanent. The principles remain the same. Don't speak when others can speak for you. Don't give them certainty they can use against you, and don't fight on ground they chose. In this age, power belongs to those who can navigate both the visible spectacle and the hidden architecture beneath it. And if Machiavelli were alive, he would remind you of one truth that will never change. The moment they can see you clearly, they can prepare to kill you. The moment they can't, you've already won. Machiavelli's brilliance was never simply in winning. Men win all the time, only to lose it all later. His genius was in winning in such a way that even his absence couldn't undo the victory. His moves outlived him. His influence persisted without his presence, and that is the only kind of victory worth pursuing. If he lived in the 21st century, you wouldn't see his face on a stage or his handle trending online. You wouldn't find him debating in public or defending himself in interviews. He would be buried so deeply inside the structures of power that removing him would mean dismantling the entire system. Every room would carry traces of his influence. The unspoken rules people follow without knowing who wrote them. The invisible standards no one questions. The quiet pressure that shapes decisions before they are even discussed. His name wouldn't need to be spoken, it would be felt, and when people did speak it, they would lower their voice. Because the final form of power is not recognition, it's haunting. It's when people measure every move against the possibility of your reaction, even when you're nowhere near them. It's when they police themselves in ways that protect you without realizing they're doing it. The rules you've read are not theories, not ideals, and certainly not morality. They are mechanics, timeless, cold, and effective. They strip away the noise and leave only what works. Silence when others shout, invisibility when others compete for attention, and precision when others waste energy in chaos. If you apply them, you won't need applause. You won't need credit. You won't need to be seen. You will move without being tracked, speak without being quoted, and win without being blamed. And by the time anyone realizes you've already taken the ground beneath their feet, they will be left wondering if you were ever really there. That is how you win, not with fame, not with noise, but with a legacy they can't erase, the kind they can't prepare for, the kind they never see coming. And if you've read this far, you already know. You're not here to be known. You're here to be remembered.